right, so we are going to finish up this unit on factoring by grouping. So what happens when there are 4 terms? How do I factor? Well, first I'm going to group the first 2 terms together and the last 2 terms together. Second, I'm going to factor out the GCF for each binomial. Third, I'm going to take the GCF of each binomial, and that's going to be one of my factors, and the remaining binomial is the other. And finally, I'm going to FOIL to check my answer. So let's look at how this works. So notice I have 4 terms. I have x cubed is one term, 7x squared is another term, 2x is the third term, and 14 is the fourth term. So remember I said that we're to group the first 2 terms together and the last 2 terms together. I'm going to do that by using parentheses. So I'm going to put parentheses in the first 2 terms and parentheses on the last 2 terms. Now notice on the second set of terms here, I included the sign before that third number, or that third term. I like to do that, and you'll see why in our next problem, why I like to do it that way. Alright, so now all we've done so far is put in parentheses. So we have 2 binomials. Alright, now we're going to look at each binomial separately. We're going to look at the x cubed plus 7x squared. What is my GCF of x cubed and 7x squared? Well, all I can see is that they have an x in common, and the lowest exponent is squared, so my GCF for those 2 terms in that binomial is x squared. Okay, so let's put that out. Alright, I have x squared times the quantity of x plus 7. Now let's look at the next binomial. I have 2x plus 14. So 2x plus 14, what can I factor out of both? Well, I can factor out a 2. So 2x divided by 2 is 2, and 14 divided by 2 is 7. Alright, so I want you to look at those 2 sets of factored terms. So I have here x squared times the quantity of x plus 7 and 2 times the quantity of x plus 7. Did you notice that x plus 7 is in both of them? Alright, so that's what I call the match. The other 2, so I have here the match. Alright, you're always looking for that match. Alright, then I have what I call the leftovers. I have x squared and I have 2. Alright, so now here's what I need to do every single time. I'm going to write down the GCFs from each binomial. Those are going to be one set, okay? That's going to be one factor. So I'm going to bring down the x squared and the 2, and I'm going to make a new binomial, x squared plus 2. So those are my leftovers. They go into one binomial. Now I'm only going to write my match down one time. It's one match. So now I'm going to write down x plus 7, and there is x cubed plus 7x squared plus 2x plus 14. That is in factored form. Alright, go ahead and try it out. FOIL it and see if you get the right answer. I'm going to be looking for the FOIL somewhere on your paper. Alright, so now let's go ahead and look at this one more time. This one's a little teeny tiny bit different. Notice that this time we have 3x cubed plus 15x squared, but then we have a minus 2x and a minus 10. So let's go ahead and group them. Alright, I drew parentheses around the first 2 terms and parentheses around the last 2 terms. Notice where I put the parentheses in that last two terms. I put it in front of the minus sign because that is a negative 2x, okay? So now, here's what we need to do. We need to look at the first set and say, okay, what can I factor out of it? And I can see that I can factor out a 3 from both 3 and 15 and an x squared. So my GCF for the first term is 3x squared. And when I do that, I'm going to be left with x plus 5. All right. And then the second one, I'm going to factor out a negative 2. Why do I want to factor out a negative 2? Well, let's look and see. So looking here, at the second that I'm factoring out from that second binomial, why did I want to factor out a negative 2? Well, because I'm looking for that match. And in the first set, I have that x plus 5. So I also need another x plus 5. So I need to be looking for how am I going to make that matching term. All right, I have my leftovers. There they are. I'm going to make them into one new binomial, 3x squared minus 2. Now, I always look to make sure that that is not a difference of squares, and it's not, so we're good to go. But always check that out first. And then I'm going to do my matches. There they are. And I'm going to write them down. All right, we have finished up factoring. Now we aren't going to be done with factoring because in the next section we're going to learn how to use factoring to solve quadratics. And so until next time, be ready for your test coming up sometimes in the near future, and we will see you later.